How easy to do a FA or Qi emission? Well, this is a very difficult question actually. The first thing that I would say is probably will take years, several years, to be able to be at that stage. And not everybody is gonna be able to do it, unless there is some form of a help behind that. Sometimes I'm really surprised because I get people asking me how to learn this technique, as if we were talking about just like a magic trick, a particular way of doing this thing happen. But they don't realize actually that what is manifested outside, whether it is an electrical kind of effect or a worm or movement of particles, it's really a manifestation, an expression of an internal energy, an internal growth that it's already happening inside the body. And it takes years to build that up. I could say, for instance, the way we do it in the qigong path. We start in the beginning with the basic programs by opening up the body, so there is good flow of energy, building up the mind, building activity in the antenna, breathing exercises, meditative practice to refine the mind, and to be able also to enter in contact with subtle spiritual form of energy, which is very important for this process of the Qi mission as well. And not everybody is actually able to get there, because it really depends from the way we are. It's not something we can ensure that it's going to happen quickly. And then we move to the advanced programs, where we start to fill up the dantian quite quickly, start to move the energy in the body, then increase progressively the pressure in the dantian, so that these particles, I will get into details into another video, this form of energy which is more dense is refined into something a bit more excited, which we refer as Qi, which later on through a particular practice we learn how to emit it. And actually, before being able to do an emission, which again is not something that everybody is going to be able to do unless there is some form of help behind, but it's a temporary thing, because we need to develop certain qualities and certain skills, and we have to be a little bit also, I believe, evolved to be able to be a certain degree with this kind of mastery of this Qi matter. But what I wanted to say is that it's not just about doing a particular breathing technique and a particular movement with the end. Nothing is going to happen if inside our body there is no certain degree of vital energy and a certain degree of refinement. Because one of the most common things that I see is that, especially in the beginning, nothing wrong with that, because we have to start somewhere, and it's about also being lucky to find the right tools and the right teachers. In the beginning, maybe when we start to practice qigong, or maybe even after decades, depending what we have been doing, we have some kind of sensation of warmth, some kind of sensation of cold, some kind of tingling in our hands here and there, which are all things are quite temporary, I would say, and unstable in terms of sensations in their expression, because the more we develop in the path, or as practitioner using something that really works, the more the energy sensation will involve our whole totality, and the quality will be stable and refined beyond this kind of temporary and, I would say, almost unstable manifestation, which in the beginning can give us a sign that we're doing some kind of work, but later on, when the internal density, the internal pressure becomes substantial, the experience is very different. And this is a moment when things starts to become really fun, in the sense that when we start to have control and awareness over our internal energy, and at that stage, here it comes the saying, where the attention goes, the energy goes, which becomes valid. And of course it's valid probably even before, but I wouldn't think about it because it's quite confusing, quite imaginative. But when we get to a certain degree of intensity, then the practice becomes really interesting. Not because we achieve some kind of superpower, so because these kind of stronger sensations, they become electric current feeling, they become part of our daily life, and this can open up another dimension of health, experience of life, understanding of life. If we are Tai Chi practitioners, if we are martial artists, it's just another level. That's why maybe in another video we'll talk a little bit about Tai Chi guys, why they should cultivate a good qigong first, because otherwise everything becomes empty. So what is clearly misunderstood many times as a quick process, because we are in the modern time of quick achievement, of tricks and shortcuts to get somewhere, which actually is not even that important to do FA Chi. But what I wanted to say is actually what you see, it's an expression of an internal feeling, an internal growing, an internal tension and intensity that takes years to build and it takes years to refine to a certain quality of what we refer as Qi. Because again, I will make another video about this. We usually talk about Jing, usually related to the lower dantian, Qi to the middle dantian, Shen to the higher dantian. Three manifestations of the same thing called vital energy, but in different states. I will talk about this in another video, not to make this video too long and confusing. But what you see in these Qi emission videos, it's actually a refinement. It's not a Jing or level. It depends what kind of emission we're talking about. But the electrical one, we're talking about Qi. So we're talking about something which is already at a more refined state than Jing. And here I'm not giving priority or more value to one thing to the other. It's just that we have to really differentiate and understand what we are talking about here. And again, as you may have seen me in the video, I've always put the importance on something else. The Qi mission is for sure is an entertaining, is a proof process that can give us an idea what is really what we can really do when we practice with serious systems. But try to imagine, I will leave it with the dots, try to imagine what's happening inside the body of a person who is able to do a Qi mission. So what level of internal intensity, density, tension it's happening there, and what can you do with that full battery, rather than just being a showing off guy and and making people jump from the bed, whatever it is. Try to imagine what are the implications of having a machine, having a system, your own system, which is working to a very high degree on a mental, emotional and physical level, energetic level, of course. So it's it's another experience of life, and it's not a trick, it's not a magic pill, it's not something that you achieve in a few days. It's hard work, it's Kung Fu, which means hard work. It takes years to build, but more than having that kind of approach, you build it in days, every day when you practice, every day when you conduct yourself in a certain way. This is how you build up yourself, and I think it's the most important thing we can do probably here in life, because if you've been around here for a little bit, if you are over 30, I would say, you know how difficult and how unstable this life experience is. So building up a good foundation and being strong and flexible at the same time is a fundamental foundation for having a good life. So this should be the reason why we practice Neigong, Qigong, whatever you want to call it. It's actually to be able to face everything that we live in a better way, to be able to explore it to a full potential, to be able to overcome our own limits, whether they are mental, emotional, physical or energetic ones, and to be strong. This should be the goal. All that comes afterwards, it's fun. But the first ones, in my opinion, should be these ones.